Forza. What comes to mind when you think of Forza? In the case of Forza Motorsport, perhaps bad public lobby racing with players who try to ram each other off track as much as possible as if they're trying to earn a Guinness World Record. Which, on a side note, if you want good racing on a Forza Motorsport game, community leagues from the likes of organizations like the Online Racing Association, TORA, Delta Online Racing, DOR, as well as many other community organizations are where it's at. That aside, in the case of Forza Horizon, excluding Horizon 1, perhaps what comes to mind is that despite being a series that's known for its big maps, large selection of cars, as well as dramatized stunts and cutscenes like something out of an action movie, it gets stale very quickly, at least for me anyway, due to not having a proper story with an ultimate end goal to achieve, like beating Razor at the end of the original Need for Speed Most Wanted and winning back the iconic 2001 BMW M3 GTR. So, the question is, regardless of what it is that you think of when you hear of Forza, where did it all start? This is the entire history of Forza, I guess. Published by Microsoft Game Studios, now known as Xbox Game Studios, and developed by Turn 10 Studios, the Forza franchise dates back to December of 2001 when the development of Forza Motorsport 1 started with a team of just 20 people, according to Dan Greenawalt, the head of Turn 10 Studios. In the early days of the development of Forza Motorsport 1, while Greenawalt and his team found the game to be a superb simulator, the game aspect of the game was not as fun. So, Greenawalt and his team started by making sure that a general audience had an easier time getting acquainted with the game's physics. Accessibility has always been one of Turn 10's most vital core values, and their immense value on accessibility is still felt in their most recent game releases. But, taking the focus back to Forza Motorsport 1, after Greenawalt and his team made the physics more accessible, added other features like online play, livery customization, car upgrading, tuning, and collecting, as well as incorporating an in-game soundtrack and other aspects that I'll go more in-depth into in another video dedicated to the history of Forza Motorsport 1. Subscribe and stay tuned for when that goes live. Forza Motorsport 1 was announced at E3 2004, and after 3 delays, first set to release in December of 2004, then February of 2005, then followed by April of 2005, the game was finally released on May 3rd, 2005 in North America, and May 13th, 2005 in Europe. This was the start of what would become one of the most popular racing video game franchises in the world. Now, briefly sidetracking, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, when people think of Forza Motorsport, often what comes to mind are dirty, unsportsmanlike players who ram each other off track whenever the opportunity arises, and I believe the high accessibility of the Forza Motorsport titles is what causes some of the reputation of why public lobby racing is known as being so bad in the FM games. Unfortunately, while accessibility is unquestionably a good thing, and something I highly support, as a result of that accessibility, it opens up the games to more people, and with more people, there's bound to be an increase in the number of people who just want to troll and ruin the experience of other players through the means of breaking the track limits, blocking, and ramming. This, of course, is not an issue that is just exclusive to Forza Motorsport, but Forza Motorsport is often what is thought of when people think of unsportsmanlike multiplayer behavior in racing video games. Fortunately, through the means of private lobbies and community leagues from the likes of TORA, DOR, FTC Racing, etc., it is possible to have good racing experiences on the Forza Motorsport titles. Forza is an Italian word that translates to force in the English language, so it makes sense as to why Turn 10 Studios chose Forza as the name of their racing game franchise. Turn 10's vision has always been that of making the Forza games forces to be reckoned with through things like breathtaking graphics, large car selections, solid gameplay, and more. In terms of Forza Motorsport 2, 3, and 4, FM2 greatly expanded on the first iteration of the Time Trials mode in Forza Motorsport 1, now known as the beloved Rivals mode, and while FM2 did not see a lot of new features added over FM1, that does not mean it was a bad game. The second installment of the Motorsport series was more meant to refine the existing experience from Forza Motorsport 1. As a part of making FM2 a more refined experience of FM1, Turn 10 Studios developed the game to run at 60 frames per second at 720p which provided for much smoother gameplay over the 30 frames per second experience of Forza Motorsport 1. As for FM3, it saw the addition of new car manufacturers such as Lamborghini, Maserati, Pagani, and Koenigsegg, as well as the adored cockpit cam, the ability to roll cars over, improved damage physics, and more polygons for increased realism. FM3 was also the birthplace of the acclaimed photo mode that has been in every Forza title since. Additionally, FM3 saw the introduction of the storefront where players had the ability to share things like tunes, liveries, and there were also leaderboards that covered categories like who are the top drivers, drifters, hot lappers, tuners, painters, and photographers in the game. FM3 also added the rewind feature, which is something that is used extensively by the top Forza Motorsport players when hot lapping to make the process of chasing top leaderboard times much less time consuming. Regarding FM4, it saw a major graphical upgrade over FM3, more cars and tracks, as well as the addition of features like in-game clubs where the different user-created clubs would compete to reach the top of the car club leaderboards. FM4 also granted the ability to directly give players things like cars, tunes, and liveries. So, while the early Forza Motorsport titles, Forza Motorsport 1 through Forza Motorsport 4, did indeed bring glory to Turn 10's vision, that same glory cannot be said for the Xbox One generation of Forza Motorsport titles, FM5 through FM7. Forza Motorsport 5 was an Xbox One launch title meant to highlight the Xbox One's graphical capabilities, making FM5 probably the best looking FM title of the Xbox One generation. But because the development of FM5 was mostly spent in the graphics department of the game, the actual content suffered immensely compared to the previous entry, Forza Motorsport 4. Motorsport 5 saw an enormous reduction in the number of cars and tracks in the game, with just over 200 cars in 14 locations, compared to the 500 cars in 26 locations of the base FM4 experience. Even Forza Motorsport 1, a game that came out 8.5 years earlier, has more cars and tracks in FM5, as Motorsport 1 features 231 cars alongside 15 locations. Forza Motorsport 2 comes packed with 349 cars and 47 tracks across 12 environments, and Forza Motorsport 3 consists of over 100 tracks across 25 environments and more than 400 cars, with the total car count going up to 500 in the limited collector's edition. Besides the reduction in the number of cars and tracks in Forza Motorsport 5, FM5 also saw the removal of in-game clubs, one of FM4's most adored features, as well as player gifting, all in the name of better graphics. The game also had a worse damage model compared to Forza Motorsport 3 and 4, something that also would not be improved upon for either Forza Motorsport 6 or 7. Besides the better graphics of Forza Motorsport 5 compared to the previous entries of the series, the game also has improved physics, but sadly, better graphics and improved physics are pretty much the only things FM5 has going for itself compared to the highly regarded Forza Motorsport 2, 3, and 4. The only other improvement of Forza Motorsport 5 that comes to mind is regarding the livery editor. The total amount of layers a player could use to create a livery went to 3,000 from the 1,000 of FM4, FM3, FM2, and the 100 of FM1. Forza Motorsport 5 severely lacks in content compared to FM4, and this noticeable decline in the content quality of the Forza Motorsport titles started after the first Forza Horizon came out, regardless of the fact that the Horizon titles have always been developed by a different studio, that studio being Playground Games. Perhaps this decline in the content quality of the Xbox One generation Forza Motorsport titles is because now that Microsoft has to fund two studios, Turn 10 Studios and Playground Games, the budget Microsoft has given to Turn 10 Studios to create the Forza Motorsport games is now cut in half, as the other half is now going to Playground Games to create the Forza Horizon titles. Now, that said, I want to make it clear that, as far as I'm aware, there is no research suggesting that Turn 10's budget had been halved for the development of FM5 due to the other half going to Playground Games. I'm just purely speculating on this. Or, perhaps the decline in the content quality of the Xbox One generation Forza Motorsport titles was due to Turn 10 getting lazy, but I am inclined to believe that the first scenario is more likely. Unsurprisingly, the Forza Motorsport developmental team experienced technological limitations as a result of developing Forza Motorsport 5 for a new console generation. So, to get around these limitations, part of the process of developing FM5 for the newly released Xbox One at the time included reworking the Forza Tech game engine to support things like higher polygon counts and cloud computing. Unfortunately, because the Forza Motorsport titles were released on a 2-year cycle back then, and Turn 10 had spent a lot of the time they were given to develop Forza Motorsport 5 tweaking the Forza Tech engine, this resulted in and Turn 10 having less time to add things like more cars, tracks, and general game features in FM5 compared to that of the previous games such as Forza Motorsport 4. Adding on to this, Microsoft wanted Motorsport 5 to showcase the graphical capabilities of the Xbox One, so Turn 10 put a lot of time into the graphics department of FM5, which resulted in Forza Motorsport 5 being extremely lackluster in terms of the content of the game. Now, theoretically, it makes me wonder, if the Forza Horizon titles hadn't been introduced, allowing Microsoft to give Turn 10 Studios a bigger budget as Playground Games wouldn't have existed, perhaps Turn 10 would have been able to hire more people to rework the Forza tech engine for the Xbox One, which as a result would have given Turn 10 the time needed to transfer all the beloved features like in-game kart clubs, player gifting, and overall leaderboards from Forza Motorsport 4 to Forza Motorsport 5, as having more people on the developmental team would have resulted in it not taking as long to update the Forza tech engine. Forza Motorsport 4 was the last game Turn 10 made for the Xbox 360, and during the development of FM4, Turn 10 already had 3 previous FM releases under their belt, so they were very well acquainted with the process of building a Forza Motorsport title for the Xbox 360. Having to learn and overcome technological limitations to build a game for a new console is bound to cause a decline in content quality compared to the previous releases if not given enough time, budget, and people. Prior to the release of Forza Motorsport 5 on November 22, 2013, Forza Horizon 1 released a year earlier on October 23, 2012. Unlike the racetrack-focused Forza Motorsport titles, the Forza Horizon titles are set in an open-world environment like that of the Need for Speed and Midnight Club games. The first Forza Horizon is set in Denver, Colorado, the second Forza Horizon is set in southern France and northern Italy, the third Forza Horizon is set in Australia, the fourth Forza Horizon is set in Great Britain, and the fifth Forza Horizon is set in Mexico. In the first Forza Horizon, the player lands himself a spot in the Denver Horizon Festival, where the player works their way through the ranks of the festival for the end goal of racing and defeating the game's antagonist, Darius Flint, to become the Horizon Festival champion. Minus the cops and grittiness, FH1 is very reminiscent of the original Need for Speed Most Wanted, where the player works their way through the ranks of the Blacklist 15 for the end goal of defeating Razor in a race to win back the M3 GTR that Razor robbed the player of at the beginning of the game. The first Forza Horizon comes included with over 200 cars, and overall is a solid game. Horizon 1 is easily my favorite Horizon title of the ones that have come out, and the only real negative of FH1 that I can think of is that it does not have car tuning, but when I played it 10 years ago as a 12-year-old boy, I was not bothered by that. However, if Horizon 1 came out today in mid-2022, the lack of tuning would definitely bother me a bit, since nowadays tuning is something I use somewhat frequently when I play Forza games. Forza Horizon 2 was released for the Xbox 360 and Xbox One on September 30th, 2014. Horizon 2 features 210 cars, and the Xbox One version of the game presents a significant graphical upgrade over Forza Horizon 1. For me, I do not like the direction Horizon 2 and all the Horizon games after it took. Unlike Forza Horizon 1, where the end goal is to beat the antagonist, Darius Flint, in Forza Horizon 2, the goal is to win all the Horizon Festival events in the new location, and that is that, to win all the Horizon Festival events without the end goal of defeating an antagonist. Some people prefer the more sandbox environment of Forza Horizon 2 through 5, but for me and many other people alike, without an antagonist to chase and ultimately defeat at the end of the game, like Razor from the original Need for Speed Most Wanted, Darius from Need for Speed Carbon, or Darius Flint from the first Forza Horizon, there's no incentive to play. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, in my opinion and from my experience, despite the fact that Forza Horizon is a series that is known for its big maps, large selection of cars, as well as dramatized stunts and cutscenes like something out of an action movie, every Horizon after FH1 gets stale very quickly due to there being a tragic lack of any antagonist to chase and defeat. Another thing to note about Forza Horizon 2 is that it saw the addition of car tuning in the Horizon series, but in my eyes, the addition of car tuning is outweighed by the negative of not having an antagonist to defeat at the end of the game. That said, considering Forza Horizon 2 has a Metacritic score of 86 with a user score of 8.3, my thoughts on Horizon 2 are clearly in the minority. Comparatively, Forza Horizon 1 has a Metacritic score of 85 with a user score of 8.5, so the two games are similar in that regard. In terms of the Metacritic score of Forza Motorsport 1 1 through 5. FM1 has a Metascore of 92 with a user score of 7.7. FM2 has a Metascore of 90 with a user score of 8.3. FM3 has a Metascore of 92 with a user score of 8.1. FM4 has a Metascore of 91 with a user score of 8.3. And FM5 has a Metascore of 79 with a user score of 6.0. And the lower user score of Motorsport 5 makes complete sense when considering the enormous drop in the number of cars, tracks, and features present in the game compared to Forza Motorsport 4. After Forza Horizon 2, the next Forza title to come out was Forza Motorsport 6. FM6 was released on September 15, 2015, and in my opinion, while I believe FM6 is the best Forza Motorsport title of the Xbox One generation, it does not compare to the glory that is Forza Motorsport 4. But, when comparing Forza Motorsport 6 to Forza Motorsport 5, FM6 is indeed a solid improvement. Graphics-wise, the two are quite similar, but in terms of the car and track count, FM6 has 460 cars and 26 locations, which means Motorsport 6 has an increase of over 250 more cars and 12 more locations than that of Motorsport 5. Now that Turn 10 was experienced with building a Forza Motorsport game for the Xbox One, they were fortunately able to increase the number of locations in FM6 to around the same number that is in FM4. FM4 still has the advantage of having point-to-point layouts, which point-to-point trials have not been present in any of the Xbox One generation Forza Motorsport titles. Regarding car count, not including the DLC car packs, Motorsport 4 has the advantage of having 40 more cars than that of FM6. However, Forza Motorsport 6 only being 40 cars behind that of Motorsport 4 is a massive success when considering Motorsport 5 is around 300 cars behind FM4. Now, while FM6 did see a gargantuan increase in the number of cars in the game compared to FM5, unfortunately tuning and car upgrading essentially stayed the same. Tuning and car upgrading are sadly some of the areas that have not seen much if any improvement over the many Forza titles that have released following Forza Motorsport 1. I would really like to see a major overhaul to the car tuning and upgrading aspects in the next Forza Motorsport title set to release in spring 2023. Regarding the livery editor, FM6 is limited to a maximum of 3,000 layers like that of FM5, though on that note, even the most recent Forza game, Forza Horizon 5, is also limited to a maximum of 3,000 layers for livery creation. Forza Motorsport 5 is the last time we saw an increase to the number of layers allowed for livery creation. Hopefully, in terms of the livery editor for the upcoming Forza Motorsport reboot set to release in 2023, we'll finally see an increase in the number of layers allowed. Considering the Forza Motorsport reboot will not be held back by the Xbox One, as it's an Xbox Series S, Series X, and PC exclusive, I hope to see the total number of layers available in the livery editor increase to 6,000 or more. But regarding Forza Motorsport 6, overall, while it's not terrible, especially compared to Forza Motorsport 5, it could certainly have been better. This improvement in the quality of FM6 over FM5 is evident by the fact that FM6 has a Metacritic score of 87 and a user score of 7.7, which means its Metascore is 8 points higher than the Metascore of FM5, not to mention its much higher user score as well. The last thing I want to note about Forza Motorsport 6 is that the game allows for 24-player multiplayer lobbies over the 16-player multiplayer lobbies of Forza Motorsport 5. It would be amazing to see 32-player multiplayer lobbies in the Forza Motorsport reboot, but that might result in more harm than good if the Forza Motorsport multiplayer racing experience is anything to go by over the 17+ years of the series. Succeeding Forza Motorsport 6, Forza Horizon 3 was the next game released in the Forza lineup of games. Forza Horizon 3 came out on September 27, 2016, and it features 350 cars, not including the DLC car packs, and, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Horizon 3 is based in Australia. A noteworthy thing about FH3 is that it saw the addition of the basket system when upgrading cars, which means that, unlike in the Forza Motorsport titles where players have to immediately purchase the parts they want to apply to their cars, in Forza Horizon 3, players can put their desired car parts in a basket, or in other words, a shopping cart, and not have to pay for the parts until they exit the upgrading menu. I would love to see the addition of the basket system in Forza Motorsport 2023, as none of the currently released Forza Motorsport titles have this feature. Anyhow, besides the bucket system, I believe the most notable thing about Forza Horizon 3 are the Hot Wheels and Blizzard Mountain expansions, although I say that from what I've read on the interwebs, as I've not tried the Hot Wheels and Blizzard Mountain expansions myself. Whatever the case, Forza Horizon 3 is a highly praised game with a Metacritic score of 91 and a user score of 8.1. Again, like Horizon 2, Horizon 3 not having an antagonist to chase sours the way I feel about the game, but that said, I certainly understand the appeal of Horizon 3 and why it's regarded as highly as it is by so many people. Following Forza Horizon 3 came Forza Motorsport 7 on October 3, 2017, which at the time of release, the game featured 700 cars and 32 locations. The most cars and locations of any FM title before it, if excluding the point-to-point trials of Forza Motorsport 4. By the time Forza Motorsport 7's last update came out in August of 2019, the game's total car count increased to 834, but having lots of cars is not a guaranteed recipe for making a good racing game. Sadly, back when FM7 launched, there was not much to note about the game besides the increased number of cars and locations compared to the previous titles. That said, FM7 does have better physics than FM6, at least based on my experience with the two, so there is that to note. But when Forza Motorsport 7 came out in October 2017, there was an uproar from the Forza Motorsport fanbase about class-based rivals being non-existent at the time, as well as the fact that the day one multiplayer options were extremely bare-bones and lackluster. On top of this, the graphics of FM7 were noticeably worse than FM6, not that it matters though, as the gameplay is more important in my opinion than anything else, but the gameplay of FM7 was more of a side grade rather than an upgrade over FM6. It was very evident that Turn 10 Studios was not given enough time to develop FM7, as Microsoft wanted the game to be an Xbox One X launch title in the same way that Microsoft wanted FM5 to be a launch title for the original Xbox One. Through lots of community feedback and many updates later, a lot of FM7's issues were fixed, such as the lack of class-based rivals and limited multiplayer options, and features like a beta penalty system were also added, but the early days of the game permanently stained its reputation. As Dark Minin on Game FAQs puts it, I'm super excited for proper rivals/leaderboards. I was reaching the point where Forza Motorsport was dead to me. I'd turned the game on, and there just wasn't anything to do. I still think it should have been included on day one, and it's something I'll check for before buying FM8. But at this point, I've given up all hope, but I am very happy that Turn 10 got the message and added one of the core features that kept me playing previous installments for thousands and thousands of hours. One of the unfortunate aspects of Forza Motorsport 7 not being fully cooked when it was released in 2017, resulting in most of the post-release support for the game being spent fixing issues that should have never been there in the first place, meant that the game never saw any track expansions. How much I, and many others, wish the game would have received even just one extra track added, but alas, that is not how the course of things played out. A positive thing to note is that Forza Motorsport 7 saw the auction house return, after being non-existent in Forza Motorsport 5 and 6. Another positive thing to note about FM7 is that, while Forza Motorsport esports is a niche thing that makes up a very small percentage of the Forza Motorsport player base, maybe a few thousand people if I'm being generous, the esports scene over the last almost 5 years of FM7's running has been the most successful of any Forza Motorsport before it in terms of the prize pools offered for the big competitions, the Forza Racing Championship, Le Mans Esports Series, etc. Besides the prize competitions, over the last almost half a decade, there have been hundreds, if not thousands of fun community leagues accessible by all people regardless of skill level. Now, as a side thing, regarding my personal experience with FM7 esports, while the game has its issues, there's no denying that, me dedicating over 200 days, or in other words, over 5,000 hours, which converts to over 6 months of my life to the game since it came out in October 2017, resulted in me earning $400 real-world dollars from a competition I competed in during the summer of 2021. It was called the Late Shift Competition. I earned $100 from the qualifier rounds leading up to the grand finale, and I earned $300 from the grand finale itself. I had the potential to win as much as $1,000 or possibly more from the grand finale with some luck, but 5th place was realistically the best I could have expected with how my pace stacked up against the other competitors in the lobby. Sadly, an unfortunate set of circumstances resulted in me finishing in 11th place out of the 20 or so people in the finale. That said, at least I didn't finish last or even worse disconnect, so it certainly could have gone worse. Most people never earn even a single penny from gaming, let alone $400, so I can't put into words how surreal it felt to earn real-world money from competing in a video game, something I had dreamed of for years. However, the reality is that $400 isn't much to flex about compared to the thousands and even millions of dollars some people have earned from esports, so the money I've earned from playing FM7 doesn't play a significant role in the positive experience I've had with the game. The thing I value the most about me playing FM7 is that, in 2018, it resulted in me finding a Forza community on Twitter that I am very happy to call my second family. As a whole, I'd say I've had a good time with FM7 over the last almost 5 years, but there's no denying the bad aspects of the game, especially its horrific launch state, which is why, while Motorsport 7 has an Xbox One Metacritic score of 86, it only has a user rating of 6.3, and while it has a PC Metacritic score of 82, it only has a user rating of 4.9. Turn 10 Studios wants to do everything in their power to ensure that they never, ever have a repeat of Forza Motorsport 7 with future FM titles, which is why it has been almost 5 years since the last time a new Forza Motorsport game has come out. When the recently announced Forza Motorsport reboot comes out in spring 2023, there will be a 5.5-year time gap between it and the release of Forza Motorsport 7. For perspective, if Turn 10 had not decided to completely rebuild and start over from scratch with the next Forza Motorsport title, and had they continued with their 2-year release cycle, we would likely be a little over 6 months into the life cycle of Forza Motorsport 9, which really goes to show how long it has been since Motorsport 7 came out. That said, I'm glad that Turn 10 has been taking the extra time to ensure that the Forza Motorsport reboot is a vastly superior game over the last 3 releases. At least I hope. Most of the improvements and complete transformation of FM7 over the years is thanks to the addition of a guy who goes by the name of Chris Asaki, and he's the reason why I have faith that the Forza Motorsport reboot planned to release in the spring of next year will be a truly gargantuan improvement over the Xbox One generation Forza Motorsport titles. Although, that said, I don't think there will ever be a future FM game that matches Forza Motorsport 4. We can only keep on dreaming. After Forza Motorsport 7, Playground Games took the stage again with the release of Forza Horizon 4 on September 28, 2018, and, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, FH4 is set in Great Britain. After Forza Horizon 4 received its last car update prior to the release of Forza Horizon 5 on November 5, 2021, FH4 features 752 cars, and as of July 2022, Horizon 5 features just over 600 cars, which means FH5 currently has over 150 cars less than FH4, but a car count of around 600 is still enormous, and more cars are continuously being added to the game. In comparison to Forza Horizon 3, Forza Horizon 5 has over 230 more cars, and Forza Horizon 4 has 402 more, so there are plenty of cars to choose from. Forza Horizon 4 has 2 major DLC expansions, with the first expansion being Fortune Island, reminiscent of the Storm Island expansion of Forza Horizon 2, and the second expansion being the LEGO Speed Champions DLC. My preference for open-world racing games has always been that of ones that are heavily story-driven like the mid-2000s Need for Speed titles, but that's my personal preference, and based on Forza Horizon 4's Xbox Metacritic score of 92 with a user score of 8.3 and its PC Metacritic score of 88 with a user score of 7.7, as well as Forza Horizon 5's Xbox Series X's Metacritic score of 92 with a user score of 8.2 and its PC Metacritic score of 91 with a user score of 6.7, I'm fully aware that there's a lot of people who much prefer the way the recent Forza Horizon games have been structured over that of mid-2000s Need for Speed. That aside, in terms of the DLC expansions of Forza Horizon 5, FH5 is planned to have 2 expansions like that of Horizon 4 over the course of its running before the release of Forza Horizon 6. At the 2022 Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase, it was revealed that Forza Horizon 5's first DLC expansion is a Hot Wheels expansion like the Hot Wheels expansion of Forza Horizon 3. It's a bit disappointing that Playground Games released another Hot Wheels expansion rather than creating something different for Horizon 5, but the Hot Wheels expansion of FH5 is much bigger and more refined than the Hot Wheels expansion of FH3, so it's not like Playground Games just copied the Hot Wheels expansion of Horizon 3 to Horizon 5 without changing anything. Also, for people like me who never got to try Forza Horizon 3's Hot Wheels expansion, being able to experience a Hot Wheels expansion in Forza Horizon 5 is cool. Besides the Hot Wheels expansion of FH5, the game is set to have one more major DLC expansion released for it, but as of writing the script for this video, June 14th to July 21st, 2022, we have no idea as to what the second expansion will be and when it will be announced. After not having a new Forza Motorsport game since October of 2017, at the 2022 Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase, the next game in the Forza Motorsport series was finally revealed and officially set to release in the spring of 2023. The 2022 Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase is the first time we've seen more of the next Forza Motorsport game since Xbox teased it on July 23, 2020. The 2022 Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase event, where the new Forza Motorsport title was revealed, resulted in a lot of mixed feelings about the the game from what I saw on Twitter. On one hand, it's nice to finally get some more information about the next Forza Motorsport, but on the other hand, most of the reveal was spent showcasing the game's graphics rather than the actual gameplay and feature elements, so a lot of people are left feeling skeptical and worried that the 2023 Forza Motorsport reboot will be a repeat of Forza Motorsport 5 from a decade earlier. Now, while I completely understand the skepticism regarding the new Forza Motorsport, due to how much more time Turn 10 has had to develop the Forza Motorsport reboot, and the fact that they've hopefully learned from the mistakes they made with the Xbox One generation Forza Motorsport titles, I have confidence that Forza Motorsport 2023 will be the best Forza Motorsport we've had since FM4. Another thing to note is that, regarding the development of Forza Motorsport 5, it was rushed. Whereas, with the Forza Motorsport reboot, Turn 10 Studios has had over 5 years to work on the game, so I'd be truly shocked if Forza Motorsport 2023 ends up being a Forza Motorsport 5 repeat. Whatever the case, Turn 10 is in a tough spot, and if the 2023 Forza Motorsport reboot carries the curse of the launch issues, lack of content, as well as the poor and unclear direction of the Xbox One generation Forza Motorsport titles, that could potentially be the end of the 17-year running of the Forza Motorsport series. The Horizon series makes Microsoft more money anyway, so I do not imagine killing off the Motorsport series would be too big of a hit to Microsoft if Forza Motorsport 2023 fails. If the next Forza Motorsport fails, and results in the death of the series, I imagine a lot of the Forza Motorsport player base will move over to Gran Turismo, as it is the most similar counterpart to the Forza Motorsport series. ACC is another valid option, but for most Forza Motorsport players, I believe Gran Turismo 7 would be the easiest to learn and transition to. Anyhow, with my pessimism aside regarding the future of Forza Motorsport, I'll remain optimistic that Forza Motorsport 2023 will be a superb game that reunites a lot of the franchise's community that has been lost over the years. Spring 2023 will come in no time, and while it would certainly be nice if the Forza Motorsport reboot came out in, say, November 2022, I and many others immensely appreciate the extra time Turn 10 Studios is taking to ensure that the next Forza Motorsport is an enjoyable experience. Also, the next Forza Motorsport is a reboot of the series anyway, so it makes sense for Turn 10 Studios to release it in the spring of 2023 as a means to pay homage to the spring 2005 release of Forza Motorsport 1. I have faith in the Forza Motorsport reboot, and over the course of the next 9 or so months, Turn 10 Studios will certainly announce more information regarding the gameplay and feature aspects of the next Forza Motorsport. Announcing every feature and little detail about the game simply is not possible in a 5-minute reveal demo, so it is best to remain patient. But that said, after so many years of waiting, remaining patient is much easier said than done. Whatever the case, thank you for making it to the end of this video. This was the entire history of Forza, I guess. I hope to see you all next time.